Hello, welcome back to Muse After Hours. I am Kyan Davis. I'm the owner of Muse Extension Lounge in Washington.
And I am Julia Ward, owner of Muse Extension Lounge in Arizona.
Yes, you have a different backdrop today, Julia. You're in the salon.
I know. So normally on Mondays, I am hustling around doing admin stuff at home and being a mom. So usually it's like my backyard or something if it's a nice, beautiful, sunny day, which it mostly is in Arizona. But I actually was interviewing somebody this morning, which was so fun, so exciting
Yeah, so
because
exciting.
I know. We have been on the search for our next Muse member here in AZ, and this girl was darling. So I'm super excited about her.
Yay, I can't wait to see how that turns out. You have her coming in for a working interview, right?
Yes, so something we do at Muse, we have a pretty extensive hiring process actually because we spend a lot of time together. And if we're going to be around this person all the time and make that investment in them, like we want to make sure it is right. So a little like quick thing about our interview process. So usually people, not usually, always, they have to send us a video. It's usually a 2-ish minute video telling us about themselves and why they would be a good fit at Muse. And then if that goes well, then we invite them for an in-person face-to-face interview. And if that goes well, we invite them back for what we call a culture fit interview, which is half a day in the salon working with us, so we can make sure that it's a good fit, but it's not just for us, it's also for them. It has to feel good for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what's funny?
What?
I never sent a video for my interview.
Well, I mean, you were a little different.
I slid in. I slid in
You
the
did.
DMs.
Man, see, and I'm a stickler on that because I'm like, everybody should go through the same process because
Yeah.
I feel like if you put everybody through the same process, like everybody involved takes it more seriously.
Yeah.
But that's weird.
It was different with me though, because I had been a client. And so like we already kind of knew like a little bit of
Yeah.
each other. And so I feel like that's why it was just a little easier for me to like get an in.
I mean, if I could guess, I'm sure it was slightly strategic.
I mean, I'll never say. My lips are sealed.
Cayenne is a very strategic woman
Mm-hmm.
in
But
general.
you gotta be. I mean, hey, we're entrepreneurs. That's what it's all about, right?
Yes.
Strategic moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of with strategic moves, we wanted to talk to you guys about something that both of us have done a lot in our careers. And I have talked about it on stages, like if somebody asked me face to face about certain things regarding my success, this is a big thing that I always say. And the term is do it scared. Right, Cayenne?
Yeah. Yep. Do it scared. We talk about that all the time, especially within our network. And yeah, just I've heard you say it so many times. And like through my education and just growing as a stylist, I heard you say that to me so many times. It's like drilled into my brain. So, yes, we definitely have a lot of experience with doing things scared. And we wanted to give you just some more personal background and like personal stories of examples of that, because that is how you're going to make these big moves in your career and do the scary things and just jump to that next level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Even if, like, whether you're in the hair industry or not, you're an entrepreneur doing something else, or maybe you're not even an entrepreneur, I don't know. But there are so many things that we're faced with in life that feel and seem so scary and so uncomfortable that we're just like, nope, I like my little warm, cozy cocoon. I am not doing that. But there is absolutely no growth that will happen if you do not run into fear and do things that are uncomfortable. And it's okay to recognize that it's scary. It's okay to be like, this scares the absolute shit out of me, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, it's all about what you do when you are scared. If you're going to say, no, never mind, this is too scary, I'm just going to stick where I am, where I'm comfortable. Or are you going to decide to push through that fear? So Julia, what is like off the top of your head, what is like the first time you feel like you really took action on doing something scared like that?
when I learned how to do natural beaded rose. So it was a large investment. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. And not only was it a large investment, it was a time investment away from my family. I knew I was going to have to leave my whole family and go and learn this for several days in California. And Hadley was a new baby. I had not traveled much. Honestly, you guys, I'm a homebody. I do not travel as much. Now, I guess I have, but prior I had not. So leaving my state, leaving my little baby who I was still breastfeeding, all the things, that felt really, really scary. And there was so much around it too that I had fears with, as far as I knew if I was going to learn this, I was going all in, which meant it was going to change my career and it was going to change me, which meant it was going to change relationships and dynamics. And I was going to be saying goodbye to a lot of clients that I've loved forever. There was so much that went into it that felt so freaking uncomfortable and so scary. But I was ready for it. And so I was like, you know what, Julia, this is scary. I didn't know a soul. I went all by myself. There was, gosh, at the time, I can't remember how big the conventions were, somewhere between 300 and 500 people. And I was just this little itty bitty fish in this huge sea of hairdressers. But I did it scared. And my gosh, what would my life have looked like if I didn't do it?
I
My
know.
life would be so different.
It would be so different. You can't even tell what you would be doing right now if you hadn't have did that.
No, I would
Yeah.
be playing small and I would have been unhappy. I would have definitely gotten burnt out of doing hair. I wouldn't have relationships. I wouldn't have the confidence that I have. Holy cow, not to mention my financial life would be very, very different.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine, I feel like, is very similar. Like the first time that I feel like I did something that big and scary before too was also when I signed up for the education for Natural Beaded Rose. Because I'd been doing hair too for a little bit, but then when I found Natural Beaded Rose and I found this education, like at that time, like me and my husband AJ, like we weren't married. We were about to get married, so we were engaged at that point, but we were like really young. He was still in college, and the education, it was, I signed up for the 3 month training, and with that comes a 2 day intensive. And at the time, that was $5,000 for that class. And funny story, he had actually been saving up that money because he had wanted to get a motorcycle. And so we had a little bit of money saved up because he wanted to buy this motorcycle. He has this dream of having a motorcycle. But I found this education and I just knew in my gut, like, this was something that I needed to do. And so I came to him and I'm like, hey, I need to take all of this money that you've saved up and use it for this class I want to take. And of course, he was super skeptical about it. He didn't know anything about extensions or anything. And so he was like, What do you want to do? You want to take all this money? Like, but, anyways, so we did that. But then when I was there, I also didn't know anybody. It was super scary. I am I don't know, I'm just more introverted. I'm not the one to really go out and like be just this people person. And so it's really hard for me to put myself in situations where I don't know anybody. So that was super scary for me to put myself out in this class where I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know anybody here either. It was a smaller class, thankfully. I didn't have to go with like hundreds of people like you did. But also just, yeah, knowing that this was going to change because I wanted to only be doing extensions after that class. I knew that I didn't want to do anything else. But I didn't really know what that was going to look like because I was so used to just this path in my mind of what I thought doing hair was. And so I knew I wanted to only be doing extensions, but I had no idea how I was going to do that. All of these things, like you said, getting rid of the clients, transitioning the whole business. That was very similar experience to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And since then, so taking that one big step, both of us, I think
Mhm.
at that point at that point of our lives, I would say for both of us, that was probably the scariest thing that we did, right?
Oh, yeah.
But since then, how many scary things have we done?
Oh, so many. Yeah.
Right? Both of us, because we experience what it's like to choose to run into the fear. And we have been able to see the growth that happened from it. and
Yeah.
all the amazing things that happen. And so we
Yeah.
continue to choose to do scary things. We're betting on ourselves. We're knowing like, well, if I choose to do this, it's gonna work because there's no other way.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that repetition of like doing a scary thing and then getting the reward on the other side, doing the scary thing and getting the reward on the other side makes us continue to grow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the scary things, they do continue to get bigger as you go along and do more scary things, but you have that confidence from, like you said, do the scary thing, get the benefit and the reward from it. So you build this confidence because you know, hey, remember when I was super scared to do this thing, but I did it anyways, and look what happened. You get so much confidence, and it just helps you to be able to continue to take those scary steps. And it gets easier. It's never super like easy, but it gets easier as you go because you have built up that confidence.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know people have looked at me for years like I'm crazy. They're like, she is crazy. Why
Like,
is
what
she
is she
doing
doing?
all of this? But like it always pays off. And yes, the scarier it is, the bigger risk that it is, probably the more work you have to put into it and the longer that it takes and the longer to get that reward. But at least that's rang true with me. But like, I don't know. Since then, I'll just give a few examples of different things that I've done. So obviously, got the certification, got the training, joined the long term education program inside of Natural Beaded Rose, traveled to California all the time, transitioned my entire clientele over to doing Natural Beaded Rose, and then I was at this kind of plateau and the standstill of like, I can't grow an entire team. We're owning this salon that I owned at the time, 10 Chair Salon. And so I made a really, really, really tough decision for a multitude of different reasons. I kind of go into that in a previous podcast, but I chose to leave it and open up Muse. That
Yeah.
was scary. That was insane. That was crazy. People are like,
People
the
are like,
girl's
what are you
lost her mind.
doing? Yeah, she's
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah. And it was like it definitely was like a longer like okay, I'm going to win. I'm going to do this. It may take a little bit longer than the previous scary thing that I did because this was a bigger deal. And then like another big scary thing, me moving and leaving Washington and much much scarier, much
Yeah.
bigger, much larger risk and again a little bit longer like that's like
Hmm.
we're coming up on almost 2 years and just now I'm starting to like curb the side and be like aha.
Like, there's the reward.
Oh, that work I've been waking up doing every single day is working and this is
Yes.
feeling really good now.
Yeah.
But 2 freaking years, right?
Yeah.
But it's so worth it. It's so worth it, and the confidence that you build during that process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's just, and then, yeah, getting to look back and, like I said, you get to see all of these little accomplishments that you did and things that you used to think were so terrifying and scary. You look back and you're like, oh, that was easy. Like, I could do that 10 times again, you know? Yeah.
Yep. And that's how you grow and that's how you
Yeah.
level up. And like talk a little bit about that with you, Kyan, when I mean, I'm gonna just like go out on a limb here and say probably the scariest thing you've ever done is purchase Muse Washington.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's definitely the latest big scary thing that I've done for sure. Is making the decision to be a business owner and a salon owner. Um, And so that, I mean, that was terrifying. And Julia knows because obviously just all of the talks we had through the whole process, because it was a long process going from deciding that I was going to be purchasing Washington and then to actually finally closing on it. It was a long process. And through that, I had so many times where I was doubting myself, getting in my head, imposter syndrome, um, so like I said, it's never easy. It's tough and it was scary because I've never done this before. But I knew that I had myself to rely on because I know if I'm going to set my mind to do something, like I'm going to do it. There's no other option because I can rely on myself and I have confidence in myself that if I want to do something, then I can do it. So, all of those other scary decisions in the past that I've had to go through and do everything scared, they were building up my confidence and leading me to be able to eventually come to this position where I was able to become a business owner and know that I could make it work. So, yeah, that's definitely the scariest thing I've done so far. And I'm still new at it. It's only been, oh gosh, I don't even like 5 months or so. So I feel like I'm still in the like hustle process. So it's probably going to be a while until I see more of the reward from it. But I mean, still, even now, I'm seeing rewards from it and just having the freedom and being in this new position now of being able to be business partners with Julia and create all of these amazing things that we've been talking about doing for years.
Yeah. No, it's been awesome. It's been awesome to watch you grow. And I mean, I was just talking about you today actually in the interview because this girl graduated from a Veda Institute, which I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
all the best ones
Oh,
do. It's like a
yes.
thing. I don't know what it is, but like usually if you find somebody who went to that school, it's like you knew that they were serious,
Yeah.
going into their career and there's a good education. And so I was telling her a little bit about you, and it's just like that growth of like, I mean, I told her, I said she was like a fast onboard. She was only assisted me for 4 months because that's literally all she needed. If I would have kept her
Mm-hmm.
behind the chair any longer, or I mean, kept her next to me side by side as an assistant any longer than that, it would have been such a disservice to you.
Mm-hmm.
But to watch you grow from like assisting me for 4 months into being like an absolute elite artist behind the chair, and then your interest in entrepreneurship and your commitment to marketing and all these different types of things, and then to wanting to partner with me to becoming an owner, it's just this like blossoming like it's been such a freaking pleasure,
Mm,
but it's
thank you.
been like there's been so much fear, but we just push through it. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the big takeaway here is that if there is something that is facing you and you're like, I am too scared. And this has happened. Like we have, had given people employment opportunities and they're like, they're too scared to do it because, usually that means joining the academy, which is a financial investment. And
Yeah.
that's really important to both Kyan and myself is we want our employees to have skin in the game because we know they are going to rise when they have
Yeah.
skin in the game. And it is important for both parties. But anything that you might be facing that feels scary, just acknowledge it. Say, I am scared. This is scary, but I am going to do it anyway. And I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, when you do it with that vigor and that commitment and you succeed, you're just going to want to keep doing it because you're like,
Yeah.
what is next? What else can I do?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially right after that first time you do something huge. It is. You're like, okay, I did that. Now what else can I achieve? Because it kind of unlocks something in your brain where you're like, you realize you can achieve any of these goals that you have set for yourself. And so who knows what could happen? The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, no, they really are.
Mhm.
And Cayenne and I, we've just barely scratched the surface. We're going to continue to do big, scary things. We've got all sorts on the docket of what's
Mhm.
next for Muse inside of product development. And like, who knows? Who knows? The sky's the limit,
Who
right?
knows? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the latest thing. So, if you guys haven't seen our Instagram, we've been posting little sneak peeks here and there about our hairstylist photography course. So, that's the latest big thing we've been working on. So, make sure you go and follow our Instagram, Music Extension Lounge, to check out. We've posted some sneak peeks there, and that's where you'll get notifications about more progress of when that's going to be released and the different options we have. So, yeah, make sure you're following our Instagrams, and also musicextensionlounge.com. You can find loads of information there as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's also how you become a guest at Muse. But you guys, seriously, we want to hear your stories. We want to hear like get in contact with us if you decided to do something scary and what's come out on the other side. We would love to hear your progress. But between now and then, make sure you tune in every Monday to Muse After Hours. Follow all of our handles, and you guys all have a beautiful day.
Yes, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.